We are a home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. And this is JoyNews Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In our headlines, groundswell push for reversal of a value-added tax imposed on some categories of residential electricity customers as former President John Mahama lambasted government for making cost of doing business in Ghana unbearable.
The 29% increase, there was a 19% increase. Then they tried to fool us with a 4% decrease. And now it's going up again astronomically. And it's making Ghana a very difficult place to do business. All business people are complaining.
Plus details as Energy Ministry is yet to reach a final agreement with two independent power producers on the outstanding energy sector debts, valued at some $2 billion. Also, nearly 5 years after the introduction of standard-based curriculum at the primary school level, one of the subjects, our people, is scheduled to be scrapped. We'll tell you why. Now, with grateful hearts and songs of praise, the Multimedia Group celebrate 29 years of unwavering journalism with Thanksgiving service. Now, there are growing calls for the reversal of a value-added tax which has been imposed on some categories of residential electricity customers. In a letter communicating its policy to the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, Minister for Finance Ken Oforiatta says an electricity consumption above lifeline units will attract the value-added levy. The ministry explains that the move forms part of the government's COVID-19 recovery program. A member of our energy desk, James Kwesi Aveji, has been interacting with a section of the public on this new tax measure.
You are paying school fees, you are paying things, you are doing things, so I don't think it's the best time to do that, you understand? So I'm pleading to the government so that they'll reduce all those things so that everything will be fine with anybody, yeah.
The government interest is in to generate more revenue for more development.
I don't think so, because people are really suffering. Maybe someone is okay with that, someone is not okay with that, so I think they should stop all those things so that everybody will be okay with this life here.
As for electricity, you don't think that?
No, I don't think that.
You'll be ready to pay other taxes, but not electricity?
Yeah, some of the taxes is okay, but some are not okay.
So at the first time, I used to pay like 50 cedis, but now it's going high like 100 cedis, because already you'll be paying your base for maybe for your toilet, this thing, and then the other ways about maybe water bills and those stuff, and then the money that you are going to eat and those stuff, it's not good. It's not good. So you have to look at and see how we are suffering in this country right now. What you have to do is that you have to help us. We the youth, we are suffering in the system. Even though I'm from Eastern region, when I came in this Accra, I'm renting. I'm paying rent bill almost like 300 Ghana cedis. You get me, for a month too. So maybe my landlord is taking me like 2 years, almost getting to 7,200 or 7,400, and then and I'll be paying all these things. I'm a young boy, and then I have to save some money and be giving my junior brothers and my mom and those stuff. What he's doing is not good at all.
Now, former President John Mahama is the latest to add his voice to the growing calls for the reversal of the value-added tax on electricity. John Mahama says the move would only pile up the cost of electricity, which has shot up by 29% increase. John Mahama says the cost of doing business in Ghana will also become unbearable.
Today, they put value-added tax on electricity bills. And COVID levy, NHIL levy, GET fund levy, all on electricity bills. And so that is going to send the cost of your electricity bills up. And it's making Ghana a very difficult place to do business. All business people are complaining. I mean, the owner of this hotel who has given us this resort to do this meeting, you should ask him how much he's paying in electricity bill. And yet, because of the mismanagement of the president and his cousin and his vice president, it has plunged all of us into a difficult situation where they have pledged to the IMF to raise as much revenue as they can. And the point even is, while you're raising revenue, reduce your expenditure. Because that's what any sane, reasonable person does. Because if you reduce your expenditure, you can ease the burden that you're putting on the taxpayer. If they cut down the expenditure of the office of the president, they've doubled it. Year on year, budget went up by 82 billion cedis. And so, if you reduce the rise of the budget in terms of expenditure, then you could reduce the incidence of tax. You might not need to place a value-added tax on electricity.
JoyNews data analyst Isaac Kofi joins us with a breakdown of the cost implication. Kofi, first, is it clear how this VAT on electricity adds to the general revenue target of government?
Well, Kojo, there's an indication of how this will be, but the exact amount is currently unknown. But what we know is that government has already told the IMF that it was going to go heavy on the removal of VAT exemptions, and we believe that the removal of VAT exemptions on electricity bills or tariff is one of them. That is why we are seeing this new imposition. The research team is also learning that if you look at the 2024 budget, revenue mobilization is a key component, and government is hoping to raise about 80% of its revenue from taxes, and VAT is a big component. We are looking around 37 billion Ghana cedis, which is way higher than the 23.7 billion cedis targeted in 2023.
Okay. Do we know how much fee a consumer above the lifeline will attract by consuming electricity per unit?
Well, Kojo, as we speak, the lifeline range is between 0 to 30 kilowatt hour. This previously, I think somewhere 2022 was 0 to 50 kilowatt hour. So the range has been truncated. And as a result of this, reduction, a lot of people were priced out of the, they couldn't afford electricity. Now, we know that government has actually been increasing tariffs. It was just the last quarter of 2023 that it decided to reduce. But 3 out of the 4 quarters, we saw a rise in electricity tariffs, and now we are talking about VAT. And as they say, there is no free lunch. And remember that government spent about 1 billion Ghana cedis to give people or consumers or the lifeline consumers and Ghanaians who were consuming more than the 50 kilowatt hour, some 50% discount on their bill during the COVID era. And we are seeing that people are now paying through taxes. And so definitely there was no free lunch.
Grateful. Now let's bring in Kojo Yauche, policy lead for petroleum and conventional energy at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, who argues that a tax measure will be detrimental to the economy. Kojo, grateful for joining us. I want you to explain why you make such a point that this tax will rather lead to the, will make the economy worse than enhancing the revenue generation of government.
Thanks very much. First of all, let me state that we've been increasing electricity tariffs for some time now. From September 2022 to June 2023, tariffs have increased by about some 100%, with only a 4% reduction in the last quarter of 2023. Okay. In addition to that, we have the energy sector debt recovery levy, which is levied on petroleum products, and also the Delta Fund, which is also on petroleum products, all with the hope that we will be able to resolve the liquidity challenges in the power sector. But the evidence shows that liquidity is rather worsening. In the last quarter, we've seen IPPs threatening to cut power. We've seen WAPCO shutting down their pipes to us due to unsettled liabilities. And these liabilities that we are even talking about are things that we owe them. What they are currently selling to us, we've not even begun that conversation yet. So imposing VAT on tariffs really will not achieve the desired objectives. Rather, 2 things are going to happen. Power becomes too expensive for consumers. So people begin to consume power illegally, further compounding the revenue and liquidity challenges that the sector is already facing. And consumers that can actually pay for the power, including businesses, will seek competitive alternatives outside the grid, which is also not good for the power distributor. And eventually, those who cannot pay will have to fold up. Imagine the consequences of that for the economy. And also, government would have to now take money from the budget away from sectors that it would have spent on poor sectors to come and recover the liabilities. Government has budgeted this year alone to recover liabilities to the tune of 22 billion Ghana cedis.
Okay, all right. Now, how best can government approach this issue?
Any efforts to increase tariffs, right, that is not complemented with resolving the revenue leakages and debt accumulation at the distribution end, where the problem is, would be an exercise in futility. So if you increase the VAT, the tariffs, and you don't stop the leakages that are happening at the ECG side, which is principally due to how the entity is being managed. ECG is not being managed as a commercial entity, right? And power supply is a business. When you run it with politics, you get that. So we expect that government will go back to the initial conversations that we were having about introducing private sector participation to reform the management of the company. Because, I mean, let's be honest, no businessman would have a business that is making up to 40-50% losses annually and continue to run it the way it is run. Right? Government will allow its businesses to run in such a manner.
Okay, Kojo, stay with me, because on Wednesday, energy analyst Kojo Poku mentioned to us that government has decided to hold on to the implementation of this tax measure. Listen.
But for this particular letter, it's been, for me, my checks, it tells me that it's been stepped down and it hasn't been implemented. Because look, we have to, as much as some of us are trying for more money to be raised to fix ECG and to fix the sector, we cannot also pile on some of these taxes beginning of the year when we are all coming out of the festive season, and a lot of taxes are taking effect from 1st of January. I think the powers that be have agreed to step this down for the time being, because it takes a lot of sensitization. Even the ECG software needs to be updated in the way they calculate the non-lifeline for the residential. So it's not going to be implemented immediately. There's a lot of consultation going to go on before it is implemented. But we can all agree that when we need money to fix something, it would have to come from tariffs of taxes. But for me, I think the timing is wrong. It's a wrong time to introduce more VAT on electricity at this stage.
Meanwhile, head of corporate communications for Ghana Gas, NS Osubempa, says the recent power outages are due to some maintenance works currently ongoing throughout the country and not doing so as is being suggested.
And my brother, let me ask you, since we took over the leadership of this country, the MPP, haven't you seen power, electricity, haven't you seen it? And you have to be honest to yourself that everything is going on well. The only reason that is happening is that today there's a serious problem with the West African gas pipeline when we're pushing gas from there to end. When there is a little bit of arrears, that one, which the contract was signed by the NDC, when the JKUFO did the West African gas pipeline negotiation, after that they re-engaged them again, and there is an arrears that we need to pay, and that one has one or two problems. And we're also doing what we call a whole total renovation of the power sector value chain. When you look at certain pylons, when you go to Ashanti region, a lot of pylons that is bringing power from other parts of the country into the Ashanti region is being changed. Most of the transformers in this country has major problems. 1963 transformers till 1970s transformers is being changed, and obviously it's going to have effect on the power. But as I'm talking to you, there is nothing like doomsday happening in this country that Mahama want to capitalize so that he can get political advantage and use that against us. It is not going to work.
Well, Kojo, stay with me. Kojo, how do you react to this?
It is interesting that the one calling for honest conversations is coming to the table with solid hands. This week, we have all been here and listened to the Deputy Minister of Energy give reasons for why we are having the challenges that we've been having. So it's quite intriguing to hear the PRO of Ghana Gas coming out to tell us that they were having maintenance and all manner of things. Even if we grant him that, if you are a proper system planner, when you have scheduled maintenance, what do? You inform your consumers. So why didn't we get any information from them that they have scheduled maintenance and that for this, between this period and this period, we're going to have our lights off? I think this is completely disingenuous and it's taking away our attention from the real issues that have plagued the sector within the past few weeks.
Kojo, I'm grateful for joining us here. Now, away from that, the IMF board is expected to reconvene on January 18, 2024 to review Ghana's program and potentially approve the release of the second $600 million tranche. This follows the completion of an official creditor committee's negotiations on the terms of restructuring Ghana's debts encapsulated in the term sheet for the country. Isaac Ofieje is lead data analyst here at JoyNews, and he is still with me via Zoom. With more Kofi, grateful. What exactly is the agreement and how important is this step?
Right, Kojo, this is the stage that we've been waiting for more than 9 months, I must say, that we've been waiting for this stage to get access to that 600 million disbursement. But what this means is that currently we know that when the negotiations actually started, what became the problem was how to settle on a cutoff date. But we are learning that bilateral creditors have agreed that December 2022 should be the cutoff date for the consideration of fresh, interest payments for the years ahead. So we are learning that governments may not be paying interest on its external debt in terms of the bilateral for the next 4 years. Interest payments will actually start the 5th year. And so that will give government some fiscal space to breathe 2024, because we know that the budgeted amount for interest payments on external loans for 2024 is estimated around $3 billion. And so if we are having that sort of, assurance from the bilateral creditors, then it is good news. And it also means that we are currently hoping to get that additional 600 million.
Okay. Now, is this the final step, or there is more to do to get the disbursement?
Well, definitely this is not the final step. Although the finance minister is hopeful that when they meet the executive board, they will get the disbursement. The reason why I say this is not a final step is because the decision to grant the disbursement of the 600 million doesn't lie with the finance minister nor the staff of the IMF. It lies with the executive board, and they will make that approval. And they will make the approval based on the magnitude of the needed financing assurance that government was able to accrue from the bilateral talks. And so they will be submitting what they have to the executive board. They will look at it, and if they feel or they assess it and they have a feel that it is sufficient and enough to grant that additional 600 million disbursement, then they will go ahead. And so the final decision lies in the bosom of the IMF executive board.
Okay, let's see how that goes. Well, away from that, almost 5 years after the introduction of the standard-based curriculum at the primary school level, the Ghana Education Service, Ministry of Education, and the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, have scheduled to withdraw from next academic year one of the subjects, our world, our people, from the system. This is due to an alleged duplication or similar content in that textbook and that of the religious and moral education taught in schools. A statement signed by Professor Edward Appiah, the Director General of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, reads, and I bring you portions of that statement. It says, I bring you compliment from the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA. Management of the council has decided to withdraw the subject, Our World, Our People, popularly called OWAP, from the standards-based curriculum. This will take effect from the next academic year. As part of our mandate, NACA has done a critical review and comparison of the religious and moral education, RME, and the Our World, Our People. Our review of both curricula indicates similar substrands and focal areas, indicating similarities. The situation amounts to a repetition of knowledge between both curricula. Beyond this, we have received feedback from teachers expressing similar observations made by the council. It is hoped that this action will help enrich the standard-based curriculum Ghana has adopted and enable learners' understanding of the curriculum, since facilitators will now be able to focus on the individual strands as captured in the religious and moral education, counting on your usual support. Now, Our World, Our People was among several curricula introduced in 2019 by the Ghana Education Service in association with the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. The subject has been taught to pupils in kindergarten through to primary 6 for the past 5 years. And interestingly, we now, Our World, Our People, and religious and moral education have similar substrands and focal areas amounting to repetition of knowledge. Let's expand the conversation further and talk to some of the think tanks in education. Joining us on Zoom is the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, IFEST, Dr. Peter Party-Anti. Doctor, I'm grateful for joining us. Now, 5 years after the introduction of the standard-based curriculum, a subject is up for scrap. What will be your initial assessment of this situation?
Thank you very much. And those of us who've been on the field, evaluating the implementation of the of the standard-based curriculum, were not surprised when we saw this letter. Of course, I've been in the meeting when these discussions was carried out, and the reason was that most of the teachers found out that the content were similar or the same. Now, at the basic level, a teacher handles almost all the subjects. So if you go through RME and then you now go through the Our World, Our People, which was a new subject that was added to the already existing subjects at the basic level, you would know that you are virtually teaching them the same thing. So what happened was that most of the teachers were teaching RME and would not talk about the content in Our World, Our People. And then when they mention the things in Our World, Our People, they will not teach it when they are dealing with RME. I think that was the confusion that was emanating, and a lot of the teachers were complaining. So it wasn't surprising to us at all when this letter came out in November.
Even though the teachers are complaining, has the subject, Our World, Our People, been impactful to the pupils?
If you read the rationale for that particular subject, you would see that the essence is to inculcate the tenets of honesty, sincerity, respect, and all those values in the Ghanaian student. Interestingly, those are the same moral values that are mentioned in the religious and moral education subjects. Ideally, somebody that is into curriculum like myself, I still didn't get the reason why the developers of these two curricula did not see this right from the beginning. Because when you go for curriculum writing, you have all these subject experts sitting together to do the writing, and sometimes they compare notes and do all that. So if a little due diligence was carried out during that period, they would have noted that these subjects overlap, and one of them definitely would have to be dropped.
Well, but in drafting such curricula, what should be the guiding principle or the aim for us to develop a certain curriculum to say, well, we decide to go with this?
Well, we are in a system where things continuously change. So at a point in time, you have certain things introduced into your educational system to to achieve a specific aim. So I think that when they wanted to do the OWAP, the focus was that we are in a global village. We want the children to appreciate the people around us, and then we want them to also know the environment and all those things that come in between. What they failed to do, as I've indicated earlier on, is that when you go for curriculum writing, what you normally do is that you develop your strands and then you compare. So if I'm developing a curriculum for economics, and there are mathematical topics in it, I have to talk to the mathematics team to know whether they are capturing these topics. If they say they are capturing these topics, I don't include them in the economics topics that I'm dealing with. That is how it was supposed to be done. So if they did this due diligence at the early stages, they would have noted that all the strands in OWAP also appear in RME, and therefore they would have cross some of them out and develop a subject that would have been distinct and would have been called OWAP. But they didn't do that due diligence, and this thing has been in the system for 5 years. And fortunately, now NACA did the review, which they normally do, and they realized that, in fact, there is repetition of content, and they needed to drop this one.
What becomes of the fate of the publishers of these textbooks?
That is where the problem is, and I think that it's important NACA have given them an indication that going into next academic year, they are not going to mount this particular subject. So if you are into publishing, what you have to do is that you try and sell all your books before next academic year, else you are going to run into a loss. It's unfortunate. They are going to incur some loss because of this change, but of course that is a business that they are running. I think they would find a way around it. But if you have printed the books, you should find a way to get them out of your storehouses.
Well, I'll let you go back. Shouldn't anybody be held accountable for this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that
all right.
NACA is doing a normal review. Okay. 5 years of implementation of standard base. They can add on. They can remove some. Done.
Okay. All right. Okay. Grateful to you. Peter Ante is an educational consultant there. Now, the Multimedia Group has marked its 29th anniversary with a Thanksgiving service held at the Victory Bible Church in Kokomlemle. The event, attended by management and staff, was a moment of reflection and appreciation for the divine guidance that has shaped the company's journey. There is more in this report.
The atmosphere at Victory Bible Church was charged with an overwhelming sense of gratitude as the Multimedia Group convened for the company's annual Thanksgiving service. The occasion, dedicated to commemorating 29 years of unwavering commitment to independent, fearless and credible journalism, saw management and staff in attendance. Kwesi Chum, the CEO, and the board chair, Kwiku Awotwe, took the pulpit to acknowledge the divine hand that has guided the company since its inception.
29 years of unlimited provision and protection. 29 years of joy and 29 years of Nadum. So team, we have many reasons to shout loud hallelujahs and to celebrate God. And that's why we are here today.
From 2 radio stations to 6, launched multi-TV. And now here we are 10 years later, stronger than ever, more committed to our values, more fearless, more independent. And I'm really proud to be part of that. What accounts for that? Ultimately, it is God's favor.
Their speeches resonated with reflections on the challenges the company has overcome, milestones achieved, and the resilience of the team in the pursuit of journalistic excellence. The congregation, in a show of gratitude, sang praises and danced, creating an ambience of celebration. Some management team members shared their thoughts on the relevance of the day. Staff members expressed their satisfaction of being part of a company that has consistently upheld the principles of independent, fearless, and credible journalism.
So we are here to thank God for His goodness, His mercies, all He's done for us since the inception of this company. We believe that as we start a new year, there is the need to thank Him. Is the reason we came here today.
It's our annual Thanksgiving service, and it's something we do every year. For me, I don't absent myself because God has done a lot for Multimedia. I've been dreaming to work with Multimedia all my life, and for me to be a star for over 10 years. I'll be 10 years in April this year. It's amazing. I mean, I did my service here 13 years ago, and then I got employed 10 years ago. Multimedia is still multimedia, and I love every bit of it.
We are grateful to God for yet another year. At the Multimedia Group, one of our key values is the principle of integrity. And we also have a strong belief in the presence of God in our business. For us, God first before others. And we have decided that every year we will gather and show gratitude to God for His grace and mercy.
It was powerful. It was impactful. We had a great time in the Lord. It's always good to come together, even as a corporate unit, to worship God. So this has been good. What do I wish for Multimedia in the next 29 years? More blessings, more of God, more of God's favor, and of course more of peopleness.
All right, that was, a sweet moment of joy there. Well, it was a moment of joy, gratitude, and reflections as the Kumasi business unit of the Multimedia Group also poured their hearts out in earnest worship and praise at the Miracle Manor Church. Emmanuel Bright Kweku's report for you.
A solemn moment of worship ushering staff of Love and Ishira FM at the Multimedia Kumasi Business Unit into a time of prayer in appreciation of God's mercies and goodness in the past year. As the fragrance of worship echoed the church premises through the heavens, it was capped with heavy praise of adoration. Led by the Miracle Manor Church Choir, the foundation of the church auditorium shook as staff danced their hearts out for God's protection.
Dispensation. God said, I should tell you that He will be with you.
In exhortation, head pastor at the Miracle Manor Church, Bishop Joy Obed Obey, underscored the need to have the presence of God lead the company while charging the business to understand their brand and influence in the media landscape.
As we are thanking God today, we must stay focused on our core preposition. We must understand the power of our brand, the power of our brand, and become intentional with the brand. We must know what actually multimedia stands for, and we must be able to push the brand to the glory of God.
Committed to upholding its core values and standard for the past 29 years, workers were charged to work collaboratively for a highly productive year with focus on the theme, a year of renaissance and prosperity. General Manager at Love and Ishira FM, Jimmy Agla, delivered a speech on behalf of the CEO of the company.
In the spirit of this year's theme, the year of renaissance and prosperity, let us embark on a collective commitment to reach new heights. The challenges we face are opportunities for growth, and the successes we celebrate are markers of our collective strength. As the CEO, I urge each member of our team to embrace this renaissance with vigor and passion. Let our creativity, innovation, and unwavering commitment propel us to greater achievements. Together, we shall continue to build on the legacy of excellence that defines the Multimedia Group.
In a new year with numerous uncertainties, staff at the company are expecting a good and prosperous new year.
For me, I believe we have to move into the new year with the same grace. Especially being an election year, we pray that the peace that we currently enjoy will still persist.
A lot of things might change, a lot of dynamics might come in, but then the question is, we need to be prepared for the challenge ahead.
For me as a branch leader for Ishira FM, I've seen a lot of light I've seen a lot of light ahead of us in the year 2024. If you look at few weeks in January, what has even happened on radio, it tells you clearly that yes, indeed, our brand is growing and getting to that highest height.
We have a long year ahead of us, but the Lord will see us through as He has always, done in the past. So I know, if nothing, Multimedia will still thrive.
After spirit-filled moments before God, the group is poised for their perpetual influence in the media landscape in Ashanti region and beyond, impacting lives and also producing good content for their listeners. From here at the Miracle Manor Church at Kumasi, my name is Emmanuel Brightquick.
And here in Accra, I am Samuel Kojo Brace. This is the JoyNews Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Now, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has detailed programs that will ensure effective maximization of the whole airport in the Volta region. He says the next NDC government, if successful, will roll out deliberate programs to ensure the facility does not become a white elephant, as critics may target. Through the NDC's economic transformation policies, the region will develop to attract people in industry and tourists, said the former president. This will increase the number of passengers using the airport. Nana Yao Jima gives us a wrap of the final day of the Building Ghana tour of the Volta region.
The Building Ghana tour of the NDC was well received by the people of the Volta region. On the final day of the tour, the former president and flag bearer of the NDC made his first stop at the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. There, he assured the traditional authorities that the NDC will ensure that the whole airport is fully operationalized.
We built an airport here and they say it's a white elephant. I can assure them that, inshallah, by the time we leave in the next 4 years, they'll find that it's not a white elephant. There are many things in aviation that an airport can do. Not only carry passengers. The passengers will come with time. With economic transformation and business, people will fly here rather than drive, 3 hours or 4 hours to get here. I mean, they'll fly 25 minutes, 30 minutes to get here. It saves time. There are car rental companies. They rent a car. They do what they want here. It drops them back at the airport, and they fly back wherever they came from. Tourists would prefer to fly here rather than hazard road accidents driving all the way here. If the hospitality and tourism business booms, a lot of people would want to fly. Aside from that, it's a very quiet airport. The skies are open. We don't have any aircraft crisscrossing. If we establish a pilot training school at the whole airport, the students can fly at any time without the danger of crossing commercial traffic. There are a lot of private jets in Nigeria and other places. If we establish a maintenance center here, it's easy for them to fly from Nigeria, come to Ho, come and service their jets, clean their jets, valet services and everything, and then fly it back to Nigeria. So there's a lot that we can do.
He also touted his achievements in the Volta region.
NDC has brought the greatest development to Volta region than any other party in existence. Anytime NDC has been in office, we have extended electric power to many communities. Many communities would not have had power but for the NDC administration. We built small town water systems in many communities in the Volta region to give them clean drinking water. We've rehabilitated more roads and done more kilometers of roads in the Volta region than any other government in the history of Ghana. We've expanded telecommunications in the Volta region than any other government. And as I was saying to the standing committee, Volta region has the longest piece of the fiber network that we laid. 700 kilometers of fiber from Greater Accra to Upper East. The longest part of it runs through the Volta region for high-speed data transmission. We built markets in many communities in the Volta region, including in Ho. The new Ho market was built by us. We built an airport, even though it's underutilized at the moment. I will tell you some of the ideas we have for that airport. We built a public university from the scratch, the University of Health and Allied Sciences.
Presently, the tour has made a stop at the Hohoi constituency. He has been well received by the people. For JoyNews, Nana Aljima reporting.
This is still JoyNews Prime. We'll take a break. We'll bring you Showbiz. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Let's do Showbiz now. And Jacqueline and Sumaya Boy is here. Hi, Jackie. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Coach Brace.
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay. What do we have on the table today?
All right. Now, the founder of Charlie Wate Street Art Festival, Manche Ayikwe, has sued rapper Obrafour and producer Mahama for allegedly claiming sole ownership of the famous Killer Cut Blood phrase. The ownership of the phrase used in the popular Obrafour track Oyohine Remis came under scrutiny after the rapper sued Canadian artist Drake for using it in his track without the former's permission. We all remember the Killer Cut phrase used in Obrafour Oyohine's Remis song.
Killer cut, blood, killer cut. Killer cut, blood, killer cut.
In June 2022, Ghanaians woke up to a surprise when they saw Canadian rapper Drake had not only released an album, but he sampled Obrafour's Oyohine Remis released in 2003 for his track Calling My Name.
My heart it beats. Killer cut, blood, killer cut, blood, killer cut.
That part was sung by Charlie Wate's founder, Manche Ayikwe, as an opener to the late 2003 remix of Oyohine off the Intempa album. Obrafour, upon hearing this, sued Drake for sampling his song. But in a twist of event, founder of Street Art Festival Manche Ayikwe is suing Obrafour and producer Mahama for claiming sole ownership. Manche states that his artistic work in the form of a spoken word titled Killer Cat was used in the song Oyohine by first defendant, which is Obrafour, without permission, but without transfer of any right nor permission to Obrafour to register the work as his own or receive any payment from its subsequent use by anyone in any form. He added that the Killer Cat sound for Obrafour is separate and distinct from the song. It was recorded separately and subsequently infused into the song. Mahama mainly used it to enhance and improve the song. Manche revealed that after knowing of Drake's request to use that part of Oyohine's track, he called for a meeting with both Obrafour and Mahama. However, none of his requests materialized. He noted that later he found out Obrafour had registered the track with a phrase inclusive in the US, robbing him, Manche, of his intellectual property and seeking to receive payment for plaintiff's work exclusively. Meanwhile, although the suit was filed in July 2023, Manche in a Facebook post revealed that Mahama and Obrafour had been evading being served by the court's bailiff. What do you think? Who is right here? Obrafour, Mahama, or Manche? For JoyNews, I am Jacqueline Ansama Yeboah.
Killer cut, blood, killer cut. Killer cut, blood, killer cut. Okay, do you want to try?
Well, let's delve more into that. Now, I have the spokesperson for Manche Ayikwe, Ani Osabute, joining me on Zoom right now. Now, Ani, although Manche did not file a lawsuit against Mahama and Obrafour, he filed it last year. What progress has been made in this case?
No progress. I can tell you from where I sit that we haven't made any progress at all. And that is why we went back to the court for a substituted service with respect to this particular case. This should have been resolved quietly. Quite recently, I heard Mahama and Joy, Showbiz on Saturday with Kwame Dazi talk about the fact that all the parties have been included in the process and that there's going to be an amicable solution to it. But from us, know what the situation is. So, and also the fact that once the issue came out, Manchester reached out to Mahama because they have a very long-standing working relationship, and based on that, it felt like we can all see this and resolve it once and for all. Unfortunately, it never happened. So, we have to go through this legal route to resolve what should have been amicably resolved from the onset. Yeah.
Okay. Now, well, you said you've spoken to them, but have they actually responded to the legal proceedings?
Not at all, because this case was filed somewhere last year, and then we've been trying to serve them for a very long time, and we've not been very successful. And that is why we have to go through the substituted service, which means that we can use any platform through even the medium that you are using now, which the court allows for Manche as owner of that particular killer cat blood sampled piece to do. So at this stage, we've thrown the ball right into their court, so it is for them to respond and come back. Let me just give you just a bit of the story. I mean, somewhere in 2022, towards the middle of the year, a DJ fan of Manche who is in South Africa reached out to him with an edited portion of Killer Cat Blood, and he even teased Manche that, hey, you are now rolling with Drake, and then they have a back and forth conversation. Manche reached out to Mahama, and Mahama said he was going to meet Manche with respect to that. So a meeting was called, but unfortunately, none of the meetings happened. So for Manche, it feels like people that I've had a working relationship with over the years, are trying to take him for a ride, and that is why, he's going through the legal route. Yeah.
Okay. Now, with all these legalities going on, has there been any communication from Drake's team?
We reach out to them publicly on Facebook. We've also been working our sources from our legal team in the US to reach out to him. We've made, it's not been an easy thing, because remember that when the first publication came out that our Bradford sued Drake for the claiming ownership of the material, for example, Manche, through his lawyers, responded on a Facebook post which we tagged Drake. But subsequently, we've gone beyond that to try and reach out to them. It's not been easy, but we've made some inroads. But for us, one of the things that really triggered the whole thing was the fact that we also discovered that Bradford registered the entire piece as part of his work in America. And Manche feels like that is not appropriate, because if you watch the whole Ohine project itself, the piece, the Killer Cat is a separate material, and it belongs to Manche, and it was just inserted into the song, like your report said, to enhance it. So if anything, Manche is more than excited to have a split sheet, have a conversation, and distill this once and for all. But he feels like, like people that he had a working relationship with over the years have not been forthcoming with wanting to sit and have a conversation about that. So, he felt like, let's go through this route. But, I mean, so far as we know, the suit, even on behalf of filed, for example, nothing in terms of compensation has been paid, because the Drake's team also know the legal implications of what this. This afternoon, I tweeted, I made a tweet with respect to, the substituted services, and I actually copied a lawyer who was actually following the case in the US, and he has since responded to it. So we are working on that as I talked to you.
Right. Thank you very much, Annie. We'll get back to you for further details. Now, Kojo Brace, a new song was released today.
Oh.
Violence, not violence, violence.
Okay.
Yes.
Bye.
Sarkodie.
And
apparently, social media is in a frenzy, because people are talking about, not people, Twitteratis are talking about the fact that this song is a jab to Yvonne Nelson. Oh, that's a playlist that you should check it out. You should.
Well, I think people will be drawing too much of conclusions. They should relax, because it could be any other girl.
Definitely.
Well, and that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Prime Business with Pius Kojo Baka. Please do have a beautiful weekend. See you. That's right. But I mean...